I'm live again with a Q&A, catch up with Mayo, and it's a Sunday morning, and a lot of these Q&As will be done on Sunday mornings, not every Sunday morning. For example, I know next Sunday morning I will not be here. I think the next one from this location on Sunday morning, so you can write it on your calendars for those interested, may be December 4th. So December 4th around this time, 9 a.m., 9 a.m., 9:30 a.m. Eastern will be the next one. So I'm here now, and I didn't really announce this. I think a lot of times it's better if I announce these things, but there's different reasons why I don't do that. So I would just say if you're interested and you get this message, you watch this, just know that I'll be doing this from time to time on Sundays, and who knows, maybe I'll do next Sunday or every Sunday, just not always from this location. But yeah, December 4th, definitely from this location. Good morning to Edward. And Edward, I got your comment. You were listening to Breakfast with the Beatles here, 104. So have I. I only listened to the first 45 minutes, and there were two John songs played. Yeah, one of them was "All You Need Is Love," which is a great song, but you know it's generally for the love theme. I think is why that was played. But also he played "Nowhere Man," which is that's a philosophical thinking man's kind of song from John, and that's the kind of stuff that I mean. It's nice to hear that. I only listened to, like I said, 45 minutes or so of the show. But yes, so we hopefully will get more people joining us because I can only go on so long without bouncing off your comments and questions and observations and so forth. I'm sitting in here. And there's no thermostat in here. This is it's like a classroom in here, and it is quite chilly in here. I do have my winter coat. Don't know if I'm going to wear that or not. I got a sweatshirt on, so I should get used to this. Hello, Christopher. Hello, Martin. And Martin has a theory. I would like to know what that theory is, if you please. Okay. He used to think Paul is dead was a myth. Well, it is a myth. He's not dead. And, this is just my opinion, of course, well, it's a fact that he's not dead, I believe, but it's my opinion that the Beatles also did not set up anything to make it look as if he was dead. I don't believe they put clues on the albums, even for fun. Yes, hello Marcus. Yeah, back to the Avatar. Yeah, I've been all over the place. I've been Avatar crazy. I've been making a lot of avatars, different ones. You never know what I'm going to stick with. Right now, I'm sticking with the John Lennon green face one, green face with my face. It's about viewers and YouTube channels. Okay, what's going on, Martin? What do you talk? What do you like? What's your theory? Is what it comes down to. What's your theory? I won't name names. Okay, don't name names. It's fine. If he is the new one, he's been doing a great job. I don't know who you mean. You mean the DJ? It's the same one from before. Your theory, Martin, with that is absolutely 100%. Yeah, I've said that before. Definitely anybody who is really attractive or young, or especially in the case of females, beautiful women, you see it all the time. I mean, they get a lot of viewers, they get a lot of subscribers, they get a lot of gifts headed their way. When they do, I watch some of these, when they do live discussions, some of them, live streams, it's like, the guys are like, $10, $50, $20, $50, $10, and views are through the roof. Yeah, I don't want to name names either, but, hey, I get it, you know what I mean? Hey, if you're an attractive person, especially a beautiful woman, you know, mostly, that's what happens, it's just the way it is. I don't know if we're going to get interrupted here. There's a good chance we'll get interrupted from time to time. You know, sitting in these rooms, there's various rooms here to sit in. So, hello. What titles am I after on Record Store Day this coming Friday? Well, just Ringo. I want Ringo Old Wave on the new marble brown vinyl. I want to get believe it's Ringo Live at the Greek Amphitheater. Is that the right one? The live Ringo album. I want that on vinyl. And I was thinking, should I get, Ringo the Fourth? The problem is it's coming out on blue vinyl, Ringo the Fourth, and also orange vinyl. And I don't want the blue. I want the orange. But the thing is, they don't note on the album anywhere, the front or back, whether or not it's orange or blue. So you don't really know what you're getting until you open it. Although the barcodes, supposedly the barcodes will tell you that, but I can't figure that out. Yeah, I know what you mean, Marcus. Well, maybe they did make the clues, but I would think that after all these years, 50 years or whatever it's been, over 50 years, I would think that by now somebody in the Beatles entourage, somebody during the last 5 decades or 6 decades would have leaked it and said, yeah, we planned some of that stuff. Come on, you did that. I mean, nobody said, none of the girlfriends, the wives, the Beatles, the producers. So I don't, but it is cool. I get it. Yeah. My hands are cold, man. Whew, it's cold in here. Hopefully I'll get used to it. Maybe I'll do this. How's that? I have to start wearing gloves here, I think. Folks, look, don't get me wrong. I took a drive up here. It's an hour drive to get here. And it was a beautiful day. The sun is out, nice. And, it's fall, so the leaves are changing colors and the leaves are falling and all that. So it's beautiful visually. But as far as the temperature and everything, it's already like winter. It was like 35 degrees this morning. Too cold for this time of year, 35 degrees. Oh, I see. I see what you're saying. If Paul is dead and the replacement is doing a really good job, exactly. It's the most ridiculous thing. But I never really take that seriously. I did make one video on that. I think if you look at my playlists and you look under rants and Mayo with the rant videos, I did do a video where I kind of addressed that nonsense. I didn't really want to spend a lot of time. I don't like spending a lot of time on my channel on that stupid rumor. However, I thought one video where I kind of cover it and address it and get it out of the way would be fine. So that's what I did. So, yeah, I always like feedback on the different avatars I've been using. If anybody's caught some of the avatars, there's so many different avatars I've been using. Those are the circular icons, logos from my channel. Right now I'm using the green one with half my face, half John's face. Probably stick with that for a while. But I've been making so many of them. And one of them I did yesterday was Jason from Friday the 13th with a hockey mask. And he's kind of towering over John and Ringo, because those are the only two Beatles I could fit in my circle. And he's towering over them with his hockey mask, stalking them from the Rubber Soul cover. And I like that because I like those movies, and partly I'm going to be featuring movies here. But I don't know if that's something that people can handle. Some people, they see that kind of stuff, it just really rubs them the wrong way. They have an aversion to it. So I don't really want to offend anybody or anything, so upset anybody, more than, not so much offend, but, upset people. Anyway, enough of that. So, okay, this glass is still falling down. I have new glasses being worked on as we speak. And I should be picking them up in a week or so, maybe a little longer than a week. Yeah, I'm going to be doing it. Yes, Marcus, I have her on my sites, by the way. I forget her name. I know you suggested the idea, but I already thought about that because She's all, I was thinking, I forget her name, Laurie. Her name's Laurie. I forget the last name. I think her name's Laurie. She was one of the RKO team who interviewed John, and I was thinking of trying to contact her. Yes, that was somebody in my sights. Hello, David. Do we have any statues in the United States of musical legends? We must. How come I can't think of any? I know we have Ralph Cramden at the Port Authority in New York City from the Honeymooners. I know in New Jersey we have Lou Costello from Abbott and Costello, but I don't know. Somebody could fill us in here in the comments. So yeah, here we are. Okay, Astro Zombie, what's up? The Linda McCartney album, White Prairie. Yeah, I enjoy the album White Prairie all the way through. Yeah, there's something about Linda's voice. She's not a great singer, but there's something about her voice I like. What can I tell you? I tell my girlfriend that all the time. Ruby Tuesday by the Rolling Stones came on the radio the other day, and we were in the car, and I said, "What do you think of this?" She goes, "It's all right." Because this guy can't hold a tune, Mick Jagger, and she's a professional singer, so she listens to Mick Jagger, like he can't sing, he's off key, and he has no tone. I'm like, whatever, it's rock and roll, babe, So I'm trying to tell her, it's like Philip D, what's your favorite Batman movie so far done since 1989? None of them really. I haven't really seen a lot of them. I saw Batman. I might go with Batman Returns, maybe the one with Danny DeVito and Michelle Pfeiffer. But I didn't see that since it was in the movie theater. I don't really like the Batman movies. I don't know why, but the first one, the one with the Tim Burton one with Michael Keaton, I liked a lot. And RJB tells us there's a Elvis statue in Tupelo. Yeah, I did watch that interview that Ken Michaels did. It's very entertaining, and I thought this is somebody that I'd like to talk to. I don't do interviews that much, but I only did one interview. I'm thinking of stepping that up a little bit, and believe me, Marcus, that was somebody I had on my radar right away. I said, "Yep." So I agree with you. I'd like to talk to her, so I'm going to try to see what I can do about that. Yeah, Laurel and Hardy statues. That's cool. Yeah, and there's probably statues in the U.S. That I just don't know about. That are around. So yeah, sure. But again, the glasses just fall down. Rob Skewer, Robert S., what's up there? Willie Nelson, he says there's a Willie Nelson statue in Austin, Texas. Philip D says, which singer in the Beatles does your girlfriend say is the best since she's a pro singer? Probably Paul. I mean, we've talked about this before. She likes John Lennon's voice as well, but she thinks probably Paul, the best singer on a technical level. But she always says stuff like, I don't know, he doesn't breathe right, or he doesn't support, he just screams, it's from the throat. You got to do it from down here, and all this kind of stuff. And it's interesting, but it gets a little annoying. Astro Zombie says, I like the videos and branching out you've been doing to the channel the past 2 or 3 years. Well, yeah, when I started this channel, Astro Zombie, I started out strictly as a vinyl collecting channel. The idea was I was back into vinyl after many years. Let's collect vinyl again, records, and hey, I got this record, I got that record, and show the records you bought. And that's where the so-called vinyl community was at. Well, that's where it was at 10 years ago. And, I started as a member of the vinyl community. In fact, in my very first video, first thing I say is, hello, vinyl community, glad to be here, Now I don't think of myself as the vinyl community. I think of myself as a YouTuber. I'm a YouTuber, and I do YouTube videos. I'm not a vinyl community guy. Although, as I always say, if you collect vinyl, then you're automatically, whether you want to be or not, you're automatically part of the vinyl community. If you collect vinyl, you're a vinyl community member, even though I don't really think of myself that way. But anyway, yeah, I tried to branch out into other things. I did the rant videos. I do videos talking about movies. I do record store hangouts in the store. I've been branching out for a while. There's a statue of George M. Cohan. Yeah, James Cagney in the movie. What is the movie? Jesus. Not Yankee Doodle Dandy, is it? David Jackson says, I think it's amazing that George's Dark Horse album failed to chart in the UK. And we got Aunt Mimi here. What's up there, Mimi? Mimi, I'll bet you actually regret when you told John Lennon that a guitar was all right, but he'll never earn his living by it. You lived to regret that one, for sure. Yes, Yankee Doodle Dandy. That's exactly. Yeah, I got it right. So, yeah, I saw Robert S. Obscure music here. I saw Robert S. in the store for a while yesterday. So, I thought I'd warm up a little bit. I don't know why people do this. We blow into their hands, but yeah. You almost need gloves here. It's amazing. Yeah, yep. How's the weather, Michael Kidd wants to know. It's cold. It's cold. Too cold for this time of year. That's why I love the summer. Hello to Elliot. You got Elliot here popping in. Oh, my water is over there. I need some water. It's all the way on the other side. So when I need some water, I'll have to go get it. I kind of need it now. Yeah. Yes, the temperature went up to 36. It was 35 in my car an hour ago. Top of the morning to you. San Antonio, it's 40 degrees. Wow. Mr. Broadstreet, there he is. Happy Sunday to you, Mr. Broadstreet, who is Ed, who was in my Pete Best video where I went to meet Pete Best. And Elliot's looking forward to Record Store Day with the Ringo release of that Dark Horse compilation. There's a Dark Horse compilation as well. So, I'm not going to be getting that. Hello, Steve Maynard. He says, good morning, Joe. It's 19 degrees where he is. And I hear in Buffalo, it's a lot of snow is in Buffalo, upstate New York. It's like, why live there? I don't get people. But anyway, unless you love snow. Yes, indeed, Astro Zombie says, during the whole lockdown on most days, I entertain people with the live streams. Yeah, I like doing, as you know, I like doing the live streams. Sometimes I think, I'm not one of these guys that thinks this usually, but I notice there's people like, I'll only appear once a month. It's like, I'll have I'm kind of like elusive, like you don't really get a chance to see me, I don't appear that often for my public, once in a while. There's people who do that, It's like the mystique is bigger because they don't appear that much. Seattle has a Jimi Hendrix statue, Brad Moore says. Edward says, I got my 2-year-old granddaughter watching your channel. Oh boy. She's a little young for that, especially when you're watching some videos where you get homeless Don. He's like, and he says the F word sometimes. Or even my friend Andy dropped the F-bomb recently. Yeah. You're right, Robert S. Rob Skewer says, strange things can happen on live streams. That's both good and bad. Yeah. For sure. And it is what it is. Yeah, Buffalo, Elliot says he saw snowflakes the other night here, but Penny Lane, what's going on? Penny Lane's here, and she's in my ears and also in my eyes. Yeah, it's miserable. I hate this. Keep warm is right. I got my winter coat. I'm thinking of putting it on. Freezing here. I feel the cold very sensitively, very acutely. I feel the cold. Damn you, glasses! Stay up, stay there. I want them to stay right there, but they don't. They fall down. Yes, I got them adjusted. I've had these adjusted 3 times, and they still go down. But these are not going to be, hopefully not going to be my permanent glasses. I'm going to have new glasses. I'm still waiting for them. New lenses. I have a rant video about that. It's already shot. I shot a rant video about eyeglasses, getting eyeglasses. And it's, ready to go at whatever point. I just don't want to bombard people with too many rant videos. That's the only thing about that. So, yeah, I know what you mean about that live stream, that true live stream. Yes. Hello to David T. Brad says that Milwaukee has a Fonzie statue, which it should. Hey, the Fonz. There should be a Fonzie statue. I'm with you. I'm glad there is one, actually. So, yes, Michael, I certainly remember that dog rant. Okay, Elliot says, hold on a minute. Elliot Ween says, I had a health scare 2 weeks ago. Blood pressure was through the roof. Hypertension. He says, I saw the doctor just in time. Could have stroked out. Wow. But I'm under medication, feeling much better. I'm glad you are. I'm trying to work at all that stuff myself, Elliot, hanging there. Good to hear you're doing better. Verizon, Robert S. had a problem with the internet and seems to be fixed. Glad to hear that. Let's see. Michael Kidd says, yesterday a dog jumped on me and the owner was like, oh, he's not going to do anything to you. Don't worry, calm down. You know what? Screw that. I can't stand it. I agree with you. I was driving to get breakfast before I came in this room. And as I was driving, I saw a person walking on the sidewalk and a guy was walking his dog. And while this person was walking, it was a little dog, started barking at the guy, like trying to take a snap at him. Yeah. And she said, and the woman's like, or whoever it was with the dog, male or female, I don't know. Stop it, and pulling. It's like, who needs that? That's why I made that video. I don't need to walk. You're having a nice brisk morning walk. You're enjoying the air. That's what the rant video about the dogs was about. And you're trying to enjoy yourself. You're trying to take a good walk to clear your mind and get some exercise. And then you can see there's a dog coming the other direction towards you. And it's like, oh, here we go. And you have to like be on your guard. All of a sudden, your mind is not on the walk, but your mind is on, I hope this dog's all right. I hope this dog doesn't do anything. And even whether they jump at you or whether they do not jump at you, it doesn't make a difference. It's still up here. You got to think about that dog and worry about the dog. I don't want to think about your dog. I want to go for my walk. Leave me, get out of here, And I realize before anybody has their panties in a knot, I realize, hey, I don't own the streets. I don't have the exclusive rights to the sidewalk. I understand everybody has the right to do these things. I understand that. I'm just telling you from my point of view, though, how it's annoying. I'm not trying to say any, Philadelphia has looks like Sly Stallone statue. George McCartney says, it's my sister Julia's birthday, and she loves your channel. Well, I'm just going to say, because I always get a little suspicious when somebody wants a shout out, especially with somebody I didn't hear, but I'll say, Julia, if you're out there and you love the channel, this is a shout out to you. George's sister's birthday. Sister Julia from George, happy birthday. Asper Zombie says, when a stream has me, Doc Dacus, and Robert S. on it, then it's always incredibly entertaining. Doc Dacus is like Fred Norris with the sound bites. Yeah, Fred Norris from the Howard Stern Show. Really good. Hello, Darren Gamble. What's going on? Darren's been here lately. It's good to see you. Robert S. is saying, thanks a lot, Astro Zombie, but it's Joe and Doc Dacus who are the highlights, not me. Come on, Robert S. It's always great to have you on. You're sounding a little bit like Stephen Schnee. You know, Stephen Schnee's like, oh, I'm here. Nobody wants me here, you know. Elliot says, I heard Bodie and Maroney by John Lennon on the Beatles channel the other day. It was refreshing to hear it. Maybe they'll start playing more of the tracks we don't hear all the time. I'm with you, but the question is, Elliot, when did they play it? Did they just play it out of nowhere in the middle of the day's rotation with no specials? If they have a special feature, Chris Carter's rare tracks or like unusual Lennon tracks or something, to me it's not quite the same. I like it they just play it in the regular rotation. Yeah, and 7977 Alan says, I'm a walker too, so I totally relate. Yeah, when you're walking, you're trying to, it's like, here's another dog and another dog. Would you leave me alone? Stop compromising my walk, So, I got you, Robert S. The S does not stand for Schnee. I got you. So it's not, I'm just looking at the time because we got here kind of early today. This is like, I don't like these discussions that I do here to go more than an hour to 90 minutes. When I do these Q&As, catch up with Mayo, I don't like them to be too long. Maybe an hour and a half tops. But I'm supposed to be here for like 3 hours, today, and it's going to be a little long morning. And I don't really want to do much longer than that. But, I could always shut this down and I could do a StreamYard thing where people appear on the screen. Problem is, nobody comes on early to be on the stream camera with me. All right. Breakfast with the Beatles is playing, and I'm only sleeping outtake right now. Okay. Robert S. asked me, how many stores do I plan on visiting on Record Store Day? Just one. This is not a record store day where I have to go from store to store to store. I expect to go to my first store, and I expect to get the 3 items I'm looking for right there. Should be all right. Yeah, so what's your plan, Robert S? Are you going to be around? Are we going to hang out? Do you want to go online, meet me online at 7 a.m. in the morning? What's the deal? Okay, David T says, now that you're retired, what's your traveling project? Going to London or Liverpool? Actually, because it's funny. Well, first of all, I want to go to England very badly. And one day I think that I will be going to England. No time in the near future, but in the next few years, hopefully. As far as traveling, since I got the COVID, which I had the COVID, and for me, it was kind of tough. But I got over it, and I'm going to be better as a result of it, But because of that, I'm kind of like one of these people now. I'm a little leery about too much traveling. It's just the way it is, It's like, for example, I love sushi. Love to eat sushi. Don't worry, I'll tell you how this applies. I'll fill you in. I like sushi. I love it. And people are like, I'm not going to eat sushi. It makes you sick. And I said, never made me sick, right? Then one day, if you get bad sushi and you get sick, now you never eat sushi again. That kind of thing, It's like me with coffee. I was never a big coffee drinker, but I had a lot of coffee in 2014, and I started puking all night. I got a bad batch of coffee, or I drank too much coffee. Something happened, and I was puking my lungs out with coffee all night. So as a result of that, I don't drink coffee anymore. Same thing with this. Long story, short. But the same thing with if I traveled for 2.5 years everywhere. I traveled different states. I drove here, I drove there. I was with a lot of people here, a lot of people there, and nothing happened. Then after 2.5 years or whatever it was with the COVID, I wound up getting it. Now I'm like, I'm a little leery about it. I'm not going to say I'm never going to travel anywhere because what's the point of living? What is the point of living if you're going to be afraid and not do anything, right? So that's not. I'm not going to do it to that extreme. Let me just see what's going on here. Robert S. says he'll be there at Record Store Day. We need to talk about that. I hope so. It'll be fun to make a video. Me. All I think of is Fellini making videos. Elliot went to the David Lynch meditation tribute at Radio City Music Hall. Paul and Ringo did a song called Cosmically Conscious. Yes, I love Cosmically Conscious. That's a great Paul song to me. Mr. Broadstreet says, been to Abbey Road, highly recommended. I also want to recommend, speaking of highly recommended, also please watch Call Me Mr. Broadstreet's channel, please. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Ed. When you say glad I'm feeling better. Yeah. I don't know if I got it from going to Massachusetts. I went to Massachusetts with Robert S. and I met Ed there and Ken Michaels and a whole bunch of people. And they were all fine. So I don't know. So anyway. Yeah, so I'm not that crazy. I'm going to be I may be going to Maine for Christmas. A lot of times we'll drive up to Maine on Christmas, my girlfriend and I visit some family up there. And, I went there last Christmas. I was fine. We drove there. In fact, we went up there and my girlfriend's brother was just getting over COVID. He probably wasn't contagious anymore. He was just getting over COVID last Christmas when we got up there. And in fact, he had lost his taste. And he finally got his taste back. And he was saying, I'm so glad I can taste Christmas dinner. And I'm like, geez, why don't you tell me I just had COVID? Why don't you tell us? But everything was all right. So, oh, I'm sorry, Rob. Geez, I'm sorry. Yeah. Go to Rob Obscure Music, too. See, I'm sorry. I don't always remember. I think he was Robert S., my friend, not the guy that has the channel. Rob Obscure Music has a channel. He's trying to get more subscribers. I think he's around the 200 mark. Did you help Robert S. boost up? Robert S. has a lot of good music over there, music that I don't watch or listen to, but he's a good guy. And his channel's picking up, and a lot of people are interested in the rare music he's showing, unusual music. So, yes, Elliot Ween was in one of my, one of my Record Store Day, or one or two of my Record Store Day videos. Yeah, well, I wonder, Edward, I was wondering if Ken Dashow got wind of the fact that there's a guy on YouTube made a video about him. This is radio programming with John Lennon. So he's playing more John Lennon finally. That's good. I should also mention, this is a good time to mention, Mr. Broadstreet, Ed, who's in my video, when we got the hamburgers, and he was nice enough to pay. There's some, it's amazing how people are. It's incredible. There's people out there that say, oh, they forced this guy, Robert S. and Mr. Mayo, they pushed it, they made him pay, What is wrong with people? Don't you have anything better to do than make stupid lies up? What? I mean, we were going to pay, Robert S. was going to pay, and you know how it is with people. No, I got it. No, we'll pay. No, I got it. And he was very nice to pay, but we didn't use him, to tell you the truth, even the person who said that knows we didn't really use him inside on his heart. He's just trying to be outrageous, Yes, David Jackson. A lot of people from England say they'd like to buy me a beer and they'll put me up for the night and all of this. Well, anybody out there from England that wants to put me up for the night, thanks for the offer, but I'm afraid in the middle of the night, I don't know you can come in and slice my throat. So I really don't know, you know what I mean? Yes, Robert S. does trivia. I did very poorly. I did one of his trivia games, and I did pretty poorly, I think. Tudor says, if you Visit England, I will buy you a burger. Well, I haven't been eating burgers, so I don't know. Right lately, so maybe by that time. And there's Mr. Broadstreet talking about his treat. Totally true, he says. Absolutely. Michael Kidd asked me, do you think McCartney 3 will be Paul's last album? No way. There's already rumors that he's starting on another album for next year, 2023. I don't know how firm those are, but that's the talk. That Paul is supposedly working on another album. And Paul likes to keep going, he doesn't stop. Edward says you are watching. Oh, I see what you mean. I got you. I got you. I know what you're saying. Yeah, Edward says he heard Paul's working on a new album, right? Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting. Well, if it was Paul's last album, McCartney 3, I think it's a good send off, but I don't think it's going to be his last album. So, need some water. My throat's dry. Um, yeah, I don't know if Paul McCartney would ever do something, Elliot, right, that says, "Oh, this is my final show," or my final tour, or final anything. I don't think he would do that, really. No, yeah, that's my opinion, Michael. Yeah, I know it's just my opinion. I don't think he's gonna stop, which is a good thing. I haven't listened to LPs, David. That's a lot of things. I've been watching a lot of movies. Last night I watched Marathon Man, the movie, Dustin Hoffman, and so Laurence Olivier. I mean, I've seen Marathon Man on numerous times. It's not my first time, but I was in the mood. Mostly because William Devane, who was he's doing those gold coins commercial. Hi, this is William Devane, for gold coins. Whatever you get, collect gold. And I've been thinking, I want to watch Marathon Man again. William Devane is really good at it. He plays a real bad guy, and I like his character. Yeah, Edward, I heard the commercial. Elton John doing his final tour, and his last show tonight is going to be broadcast, and his last song. And I got emotional. He said something like, I started in New York, no, I started in America, I think he said, and I want to end in America. I think that's what Elton John said. And I got emotional because, again, I love Elton John. When I say that, I don't mean every song on every album. I just mean he was a part of my youth. He's a part of the 1970s. I grew up with him. Elton John, even more than Paul McCartney and Wings, is a big part of the 70s for me. And when I hear any of those 70s classic Elton John songs, I'm transported right back to being like, 10, 11, 12, 13. And remembering where I was, usually a feeling of the summertime, picnics, barbecues with family, big family, going to the beach, listening on the radios on the beach while you're crashing through the waves and swimming, and you hear, whatever song it is on there. Don't Go Breaking My Heart with Elton John and Kiki D. It was very big. So that was 76, all that kind of stuff. Great times, great memories. Elton John was a part of that. Yeah, Rob Skewer. Paul will work till he drops, just like the rest of us who live paycheck to paycheck. Yeah, yeah, I'm with you, Elliot. I want to see a kind of cold cuts collection just like hits, you know. But you can call it something else. I know he's a vegetarian, so you call it something else. Ugh, the Rolling Stones, go away. I'm sorry. I'm not excited about that. Mr. Broadstreet says he heard that the Rolling Stones are set to release their first album of totally new material since 2005. Totally new material that sounds just like all their old material. I don't need it. I really don't. And I like the Rolling Stones, but I don't need any more Rolling Stones. Hello to Alexander Henderson. David T asks me, do I like to watch films from the same director in the same week, like a movie festival? Not necessarily the same director, but I used to have something in New York when I was growing up called the 4:30 movie. At 4:30 every afternoon, they would play a theme. This is Vincent Price week. They play all Vincent Price movies. Or this is, Planet of the Apes week. They play all Planet of the Apes movies, or etc. So they have a theme. I've wanted to do that for a long time, but I never stick to it, like a lot of other things. So, yeah, it could be the same director, but mostly for me, I don't really go with directors too much unless they're like certain directors that have a definite style, like Brian De Palma, Alfred Hitchcock, um, maybe Stanley Kubrick, Quentin Tarantino. I mean, these are people to me that have like a certain style. But generally speaking, to me, you could have movies by the same director and not all of them are good, or the same. Okay, Elliot Ween says he was on the Beatles. Which one was it? You asked a question about the omission of certain singles from the new McCartney box set. Oh yeah, the Hallmark Channel. Oh, it's terrible. Well, my girlfriend doesn't watch it when I'm around, really. The Hallmark Channel. God, is that awful? I have to make a video rant about that. Oh, Stefan, what's going up? What's going on? What's going up? What's going up, Stefan? What's going down? Uh, Funny how you think England is overrated, but you can't stop talking about our music. What are you talking? You're not talking about me, are you? Because I've never said England is overrated. Are you crazy? You're not talking about me. Maybe it's somebody else. I've never said such a thing ever. It takes all kinds, folks. Yeah, the $1 million movie, Edward. They played King Kong once. Oh, I see. I see. Okay, see. All right. Okay. Well, look. Let's not have the bickering here. Otherwise, I gotta block you because we can't have that right now. Because this is a video that's going to be a regular video. I'm gonna keep it probably. But anyway, I see. It wasn't me. See, that's what happens. You could have misunderstandings in writing. He's responding to 7977 Allen. Okay. Understand. Understood. Got it. My mistake. My error. Alrighty, what else we got going on? Well, so far I've been on close to 45 minutes. I got to be on at least another 45 minutes, maybe more like another hour and a half or something. Well, if we can have enough questions and fun stuff, it'll be worth it. I like doing an hour and a half. I'm reading Elliot's comments, but they're too long to repeat. Okay, Rob Skure says, did you ever finish ranking the Beatles albums on songs, the Beatles songs from different albums? The answer is yes. On FabGab, which you can find my FabGab show. I'd like to promote it a little more because it's lost in the abyss of live videos because I do the show live. So if you just happen to click on videos and scroll down my videos, you're not going to see the FabGab show because now YouTube has those videos in live. So anyway, check out the playlists. Go to the top, scroll around, look for playlists, look for FabGab, the Beatles Talk Show. Yeah, we did a thing where we went through all the Beatles albums, the UK albums, and then Past Masters 1 and 2, you know. And we ranked the songs from our least favorite to most favorite. We did all of those. David T says, how do you feel to be like a school teacher in his classroom? I don't feel like a teacher, but I guess there are people who've learned stuff from me and my channel, just as I learn stuff all the time, you know. Have you listened to this recent single release, which included guest vocals? What single release are we referring to here? Are you referring to? Although I love the British bands, I love British bands, you know that. But I love some American bands too. Let's not get crazy yet. Good morning to Psycho Splatters. What's going on, Paul? Psycho Splatters. David Jackson says McCartney needs a new box set of collection of videos because the old original DVD box missed many of his videos. Yes, and they also put them in that widescreen format, which is not the proper aspect ratio, but I digress. Yes, Elliot dedicates the Yoko song, Listen, the Snow is Falling, which is a very pretty song. You people that hate Yoko and every breath she breathes and every eyelid she blinks, want to try the song Listen, the Snow is Falling. I think it's a gorgeous song. Hello to James Farley, who's just here now joining us. What's up, James? I can't believe this classroom does not have a thermostat in it. I would put it up to 75 or 80. It would probably take a long time for the heat to come up anyway, you know? So. No, I don't work. I'm retired. I'm here in a classroom. My girlfriend, not every single Sunday, but some Sundays a month, 2 Sundays a month, I think. She has to come here, and I drive her here because right now she doesn't drive. She hasn't driven since 1993, and that's only because her license expired and she didn't have to drive. She was like in the city, so she didn't need a car. But anyway, so yeah, so I drive not every Sunday, but I drive her here, and she basically does singing with a choir here actually, and I'm here on some Sundays, and to kill time here while she's doing what she's doing, and this is not bad. I don't mind the Sundays. The problem is every Tuesday evening, she has to come here to rehearse, and that's during rush hour. So I have to drive her here every Tuesday evening so she can rehearse for when she does the next Sunday gig. So that's the rehearsals on Tuesdays that suck. Not so much this. Have I been to the flea market Lately, no, I missed. I did that like one or two flea market videos this season. It's been a bad season because I retired in April and the flea market started, but then my girlfriend wound up getting sick and I had to take care of her. And then after she got better, I got sick and she had to take care of me. And that was the last 6 months, from April to October. So no flea market for the most part. Robert S. wants to know, do I have any interest in the Fleetwood Mac alternate collection record store? Now, wait a minute. I try to get most of those. I didn't know there was one. What is it? Which album is it? The self-titled? You're talking about the first one with Buckingham and Nicks? Fleetwood Mac with the white cover? Because I have other ones. I have Rumors and I have Mirage, I think came out. Hello, Raymond. I'm looking at my eyeglasses again, and I want to say the new glasses that I got do not have a frame down here. It's just plain lens. The top you see, and then the bottom is clean is clear. I don't know if I'm going to like that too much. I thought I liked it when I was there, looking through the mirror, but I don't know if I'm going to dig it. May reveal too much. See, one good thing about eyeglasses, nobody likes to wear glasses, right? Who wants to wear glasses? But it hides some imperfections. If your eyes are getting older looking, or if you have wrinkles or bags or, whatever, sometimes, I don't know about me, but sometimes it's actually beneficial to you. So I don't know. James Farley, who is at the Beatle Fest in New Jersey? Well, Patty Boyd is there. Patty Boyd's been there before, so it's not her first time. But last time she was there, I didn't get a photo with her or an autograph or anything. So maybe I'll do that this time. And the other ones are the same old crew. I gotta say, Peter Asher, Mark Rivera, um, Jay Bergen, who was the guy that stuck up for John when John was getting sued. It was his lawyer, and he has a good book out there about his experience working with John. The Fleetwood Mac collection is various songs, not just one album. We'll have to see about that one. Sometimes, Robert, I get caught up in the excitement of record store day, and I'm like, oh, I gotta buy more stuff. But Elliot's going to see two British bands that never tour. London Suede and Manic Street Preachers. Never heard of them. I'm sorry. No, but I know Elliot, when he's here, Elliot fills us in on a lot of stuff, non-related to, Beatles and stuff, which is fine. I just don't know what it is, I don't know what it is. Yeah, Shocking Blue. I bought the Shocking Blue record. What the hell? I only care about the song Venus from the Shocking Blue. What did I buy? A record store they released, No. So. What's a good word, folks? It's early still. It's 10 a.m. right now. 10 a.m. Eastern time here. You know, the Manic Street Preachers are a great band. Yeah, Edward says that Mickey Dolenz is touring. Yeah, he's touring as the solo monkey now. He's doing the whole Headquarters album. Am I right? He's doing the Monkeys Headquarters. So I like that album, Headquarters. I played it not too long ago, actually. I was at the record store and I played it actually. Whenever Corey lets you play anything, because he plays that god awful jazz crap. Oh man, is that terrible? And he plays it all the time. And he used to be really cool about letting me occasionally play something else. But these days it's like, he can't handle it or something. He's like, no, 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 I can't handle it. So, oh, by the way, I should mention something else. Right now, as we speak, there's a record show going on. Sometimes I make videos back, around where I am. There's a record show that they have every once in a while, and it's there. And I was going to go today. My girlfriend accidentally told me that she does not have to come here this Sunday, and I thought I was free. So my friend Julio and Richie, when we go to breakfast, you've seen those videos, hang out with Julio and Richie, and we go to breakfast, and then after that we go to the record show. Well, I was going to do one of those this morning, and then I found out kind of at the last minute. She said, "Oh, I made a mistake. I do have to come to here today." So I'm like, "Oh, thank you. You've let me know." How many times did I meet Denny Lane? To the best of my knowledge, I think only one time. He was at the Beatles Fest for Beatles fans, and I think I only met him the one time. I know I got 2 autographs from him. He autographed the Wings Wildlife album, and he autographed the 12-inch single, A Good Night Tonight, Daytime, Nighttime Suffering. This record show is in Massapequa Park. So, and right about now is when they'd be there. They'd be getting there right about now. And it's a shame, I would like to be there. I say it's a shame, believe me, my girlfriend could fend for herself and come here. The problem is she has to take an Uber to get here. And the Uber costs $200 round trip. Now, she had to do that a couple of times when I was laid up, when I was sick recently, and I really didn't feel like I could really handle the drive. So twice she had to do that. It was $400 for two. It almost takes any profit away, right? So you can't really do that because it's an hour's trip up here. It's far. It's crazy. Okay, that show that used to do that show in the 90s. Well, it goes back that far to the 90s, that show, huh? Wow. Record show. Huh. What's going on, folks? I know one thing that's not going on. The heat. The heat is off. I've never met Joe English, the Wings drummer. He'd be a good guest, but as I understand it, I'm not sure, but I'm positive, but I think Joe English is kind of very into like Christian stuff now, or religion, or something. That's what I heard, and he's not really into the rock and roll thing. That's what I heard. I don't know. Will I do a review of Paul's classical albums? No. I say no now. I can't say never. Maybe there'll be one day when I'm looking for more content and I say, yeah, maybe I better listen to them because I don't care about the classical albums listening, So, yeah. Is it Stefan? I'm saying Stefan. It's not Stephanie, right? Stefan, am I right? I'm trying to look at Stefan. I don't know how to pronounce it. Sorry. Okay, folks, we're just about very shortly going to hit an hour here. Stefan, not Stefan, right? Stefan. All right. Hello, Alan C. Records, my New York Mets fan. I don't know if you know, I got rid of all our Mets videos. I'm sorry. I don't think the Mets are going to fly here on my channel or anywhere. But at least the Yankees blew it too. Astro Zombie says, "What's your favorite archive edition from Paul?" Um, it's funny. I want to say Ram, because Ram is the biggest. They have a lot of goodies in there. But by the same token, I actually like McCartney too, believe it or not. McCartney too, I like because it has all those extra songs. And do you think the Lennon box sets have been a tad bit better than what Paul and the Harrison estate have been? Yes, I think the John Lennon box sets have been generally cheaper, less expensive than the Paul ones. I think they give you more value for the money. And I like the fact that the John Lennon ones are like they're like kind of like the 10-inch record size. They're a little smaller. I really like those better. David T wants to know, what do you think of Julian Lennon's new Jude album? Still listen to it? I listened to it once. I enjoyed it, and I made a video about it, which is getting a lot of views. That's a very popular video on my channel, I'm glad to say. And I liked it, but I haven't played it again. Not lately. I mean, this, when you think about having like 1,000 or 1,500 records, hundreds of CDs, 1,000 movies, there's so many things to watch and listen to. Wow. Yeah, there's always next year, Alan. Of course, every year we say that. About the Mets, New York Mets, always next year. Which test person would you be most excited to get? You talking about in the Paul McCartney set? I don't know. Is that what you're talking about? Because if you are, I think maybe Uncle Albert. And at least would be We All Stand Together, that garbage, still stupid song. Sorry, folks. Yeah. Paul said he is embarrassed about his song Hi, Hi, Hi now that he's a grandfather. It's a great song. You see, that's Paul. That's Paul. Embrace it. You did a rock song. You had some, it was banned because they thought you were saying something in there, but that you weren't saying in there. Yeah, Astro Zombie says, Hi, Hi, Hi is one of Paul's best. He should own it. Absolutely. Yes, David Peel. I know that Elliot Ween hung out with David Peel and with Denny Lane. Pretty cool. Uh, Man, it's cold. Sorry, I keep saying that. Trying to get my mind. I thought this chat would, with you people would get my mind off the temperature, but apparently not. By the way, I'm an hour in now. Would anybody like to contribute to the show? Contribute to the cause, to the channel? If you want to, all you got to do is hit that little S sign with the line through it and make a contribution. You can do that if you like. It is not required. It is not necessary. But whenever it happens, once in a blue moon, it is appreciated. Thank you. I like to say that because otherwise people don't always know. You know? Do 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 do. Sorry, we get one of those awkward moments of silence now and then. Elliot says, I wonder how McCartney felt about Give Ireland Back to the Irish after being knighted as a sir. Maybe somebody will ask him in an interview. Raymond wants to know, do I think they'll ever come out with the Beatles cartoon series on DVD? I'd like to think they will. Do I think it'll happen? Doubtful. But they really should. That's very important. That's how I say that. That's how I grew up on the Beatles from watching the cartoons. That's what started it off for me, really. Um, am I getting into Robert S. knows I hate football, but are you getting into the World Cup? No, just Mets baseball. That's it with me in sports. As we move, David Roberts says, as we move back in time with the Beatles box sets, there are likely to be fewer outtakes and alternate versions. I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with that at all. I think there were a lot of outtakes and more outtakes from and different versions, different vocals and things from the early albums. They did more takes, I think, than they did later on. That's what I think. You probably got more takes on with the Beatles and Please Please Me and A Hard Day's Night than you had on, I don't know, Pepper. There's a hair over here. Sorry, folks. Why won't they release the cartoons? I don't know. I don't think the Beatles ever liked the cartoons. They didn't use their own voices, which are fine. It's a cartoon, for goodness sake, And who knows? And some people think there's too much, politically incorrect stuff in there for today that maybe that wouldn't fly so well, that kind of thing. And if that's the case, just try to put a disclaimer at the beginning that, this was the past and, whatever they do when they do that. We need some unreleased Harrison in 2023, Elliot says. You think? You think? I mean, the Harrison estate is pathetic. I'm going to say it loud and clear. They don't put out anything really tantalizing or interesting of George. And whatever they do put out, like, All Things Must Grass, and stuff like that, and, re-releasing his albums a million times, like in a big giant set, or the Uber box of All Things Must Pass. Whenever they do put something out that's nothing new, it costs an arm and a leg. Where is it all? Exactly. Forget it. Remember when they put out George Harrison Early Takes Volume 1? What was that, like in 2012 or something? 2011? It's like 10 or more years ago, 11 years ago. What happened to Volume 2? Yeah. If only. Can only hope. Yeah, Elliot says Danny Harrison teased us with a live 1974 Dark Horse tour release. He said he would take the best tracks from various shows to make a very listenable live album of the Dark Horse tour 74. I heard that too. Nothing ever materialized from it though. So. All right. I thought more people would be joining us as it gets to be a little later in the day. I say later in the day, later in the morning. Let's put it that way. I know a lot of people don't get up in the morning on Sundays too much, but we've had like 40-ish people around here, which is good for this hour. And remember, there's going to be a lot of these morning chats. I think. I mean, I don't know. I do chats all different times. In particular these Q&A things, these catch up with Mayo sessions. They're probably going to be early a lot. Um, there's not much I can. I read. I want you to know too. I read the comments here. It's just that there's not always something I can respond to. Elliot reminds us that if you want something different by George Harrison, listen to the first Splinter album because it was more a George Harrison album than a Splinter album. Let me ask you this: does George sing vocals on it? I know musically it probably is very George, right? Background vocals, George sings, and amazing guitar. Splinter. Yeah, I remember that show. Martin put it there, the McCartney thing. That was very exciting at the time because it was on a videotape, a VHS videotape, and that was right at the time when Paul was kind of getting it together again, where he was going to tour again, finally, and he was coming out again and tour, playing live, and and he just released "Flowers in the Dirt." And he was rehearsing the band. That "Put It There" video was very, very, very good. With Abbey Road, David T wants to know on Abbey Road or Here Comes the Sun and Something, the best two tracks. I have to say that. I think Something and Here Comes the Sun are the best two tracks on there. I think it's George's album mainly. He owns that album because of those two songs. Having said that, those are the two best songs probably. But, they're really played out to me as are most Beatles songs right now. So right now I'd rather hear Oh Darling, or I'd rather hear I Want You, She's So Heavy. You're talking about Put It There is cheap and unofficial? Because Put It There was not unofficial, it was official at the time. Hello, B-Sides. B-Side says Walmart has a ton of Beatles records in the sale that ends today. $15 vinyl. You grabbing anything? Any special variations for you there? I don't think so. I mean, I know some people said they got the Revolver. I already have the Revolver. I don't think there's anything in there that I need. I don't think so. You know? Hello to Henry. Henry is here. Henry, I can't say the last name. Lemoyne. Yeah, I'm not interested in Elvis Costello. Never was. So Elvis Costello doesn't dazzle me. So McCartney years. Isn't the McCartney years? Isn't that the title of the promo films? Uh, the McCartney years. I think that's the promo videos. How much did they want for Ringo's Yellow Submarine LPs? What are we talking about there? Ringo's Yellow Submarine LPs. Yeah, about Elvis Costello being a lot like John. Paul says, well, Paul would know. I could see similarities in John, but philosophical sounds. What's going on? Good morning. All of those McCartney 3 color variants seem to be sold out now. Well, they were sold out for a long time, I think. Peter Boothroyd, hello. I'm not big on Declan McManus, aka Elvis Costello. I'm just not, and I don't think they did such great, I don't like My Brave Face. Everybody goes crazy for My Brave Face. It's okay. I don't hate it, but it's just okay. I like the song Back on My Feet. I think Back on My Feet is the best thing they did. Well, they did that together, right? Um, and some of the stuff, some of the demos they did were better than the released ones. On the Flowers in the Dirt box set, the archives, I like some of the earlier versions that they did not record. They just did them like playing them before they put them on the tracks down. I like them better. If I'm on a desert island, do I listen to Revolver or Pepper? I'd have to go with Revolver under that scenario. I don't think there's anybody like John Lennon. There was no, John Lennon's one of a kind, unique. You may say there are people out there that speak their mind, that are more direct, that aren't afraid to say what they want to say without fear of repercussion, or just foam at the mouth and run off at the mouth. That quality, I guess, outspoken is a quality that some other people probably have. But overall, I think John was a unique. Yeah, I know what you mean, Henry, about Pepper. Pepper's a great album, Sergeant Pepper, but it does have the same kind of flow and vibe. Whereas on Revolver, seem a little bit more different. Okay, Elliot says there's an Elvis on tour box coming in January on January 23rd. Boy, I'm going to tell you, people always say about the repackaging of stuff and Beatles, but boy, the Elvis stuff, holy cow. I mean, Philosophical Sounds says, I think McCartney and Costello should have made one album together as a band. It would have worked much better than what we got. You don't like John's interviews, or you do? I love John's interviews. We lost a great interviewee with John, man. And when you say he said what suited him for that time, what else can you realistically do? If you ask me right now, what do you think of, I don't know, this or that? I mean, I don't know. What do you think of American cars? I would tell you today, I don't like American cars. I think I like Japanese cars. I think Japanese cars are much better than American cars. I tell you that because that's how I feel. You ask me 6 years from now, maybe I've had different experiences and I change it. So that's just, if you're a thinking person with a brain in your head, you should change your mind from time to time, and you should. Well, some things you'll never, you'll always feel the same way about. But if you're a thinking person, you have different views over time. I don't believe, Edward, that Sergeant Pepper is a Paul album. It is a Paul concept. Paul thought up the concept of Sergeant Pepper's band, but all the Beatles contributed to it, though. But all the forwards from the box sets are from Paul. Is it a problem? No. What are you going to do right now? I mean, John Lennon's dead, George Harrison's dead, Ringo, I love Ringo to death, but Ringo's just Ringo. So of course you're going to have Paul being the spokesperson for the box sets. Yeah, RJD, I think we're gonna have a tough time with our wallets in 2023. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff. No, I am not buying the Rolling Stones mono box set. No, you can't have everything, and I don't need that. I mean, Henry wants to know, why do I think that John regularly wore the green military shirt. Was he doing that ironically because he was anti-war? Yeah, I don't know what that was all about. He obviously was anti-war, but he's trying to make an anti-war statement by wearing army fatigues. I don't know why, but well, no, I understand that completely, Martin. Don't you understand that? You say John dismissed the Beatles' music himself, and then he picked on Mick Jagger because Mick Jagger criticized their music. Well, he said it. He said, I can knock the Beatles, but don't let Mick Jagger knock them, you know. I can knock me, don't you, but don't you knock me. You ever heard that expression? I see nothing wrong with that. And I agree, James Farley. The whole thing about John is that he was always very real and honest and spoke from off the cuff, from the hip, whatever he felt at the time he said. Now, I think at times, like in the Rolling Stone interview from 1970, when he was really, really angry, I think that he said he exaggerated a lot of things for effect in that interview. I think in some cases in that interview, you know, that's why we need John Lennon alive today to speak for himself. Too bad John's not alive today. He could speak for himself and answer questions, like answer people here who say what they say and say, well, this is what I felt then, this is what I thought then, you know, what's wrong with me changing my mind? He's not here. So Rob Obscura says, it's kind of like my older brother who said no one was allowed to beat me up. No one was able to beat Robert S. up except for his older brother. I get it. I don't know. Which George Harrison, David Roberts wants to know, which George Harrison and Ringo albums are your favorite? My favorite George Harrison albums would be All Things Must Pass and Cloud Nine. My favorite Ringo albums would be the self-titled Ringo album, Time Takes Time, and What's My Name. And I'm with Elliot. Next year, 2023 is gonna be the 50th anniversary of the self-titled Ringo album, and he would love a box set with alternate takes and any unreleased stuff. You and me both. Now Ringo is gonna be aware of this. Ringo, although he doesn't really think about this kind of stuff much, I know Ringo is proud of the Ringo album, and I know that he's probably gonna be thinking about it, and I hope that Ringo helps make that happen. Yes, Henry, Lennon was underused on Abbey Road, but that's where he was at the time. Yes, he was doing the heroin thing for a while. He was doing the drug thing, but he had other stuff in '69. He had Give Peace a Chance in '69. He had Cold Turkey in '69, which the Beatles didn't want to record. He offered it to the Beatles as a Beatles song, and they didn't want it, so he did it himself. He had other material that could have, maybe he could have done, but he was doing others. But between the drug thing that he got into, and between his love and passion and obsession with Yoko Ono and wanting to do things together with her, there wasn't really that much interest in the Beatles. And I get it. Do I think the traveling, hello to Christopher Cruz. Christopher wants to know, do I think the Traveling Wilbury should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? No, I don't think so. Okay. Robert S. says, well, personally, his number two George Harrison album is Living in the Material World. That would be my number three George album. I should have mentioned three. Oh, that's right, too. John was in the car accident, too. John was in a car accident in '69. No. About John recording Plastic Ono Band, no. Well, Martin says John totally discredited George over the years, like Paul did. Yes and no. Yeah, later on, I think he said good things about George. He did. In 1971, on the David Wing interviews, he said, "Listen to George. Would George have ever flourished like that had we continued?" He said that George flourished. You see him in the Get Back documentary, John. You see him trying to work with George on something, and he says he's also working with him and trying to help him out with lyrics on All Things Must Pass. And he also says that he wants George, maybe we could do one of George's songs. I want to do one of George's songs on the rooftop or whatever. We talk about that. But no, I'm not trying to say, of course, that he didn't disparage George. He did. John did. And I heard an audio interview with John where he says, George just wasn't in the same league as we were for a while. That's not putting him down. I remember the way he said it, just like that. He says, it's just that he wasn't in the same league as us for a while. I'm not putting him down, you know. Robert S. says, it's incredible to him that a song like Instant Karma is over 50 years old. Yesterday, I was at my diner and they played the Fleetwood Mac song Gypsy, which I love. I remember when that was a new song, a new MTV video. I loved it. Bought the album. Stevie Nicks singing Gypsy with Fleetwood Mac. And that's 40 years old this year. Can you believe it? That's more of a shock to me that Gypsy is 40 years old, or a song from 82 is 40 years old. What was my favorite greatest hits album cover? Do you mean for the Beatles? The Beatles' greatest hits albums? Like the best of? I actually like the Best of George Harrison album cover with the spacey look of George. I like that, if that's what you mean. I like Blast from Your Past. Ringo's Blast from Your Past cover is probably the best. I like the John Lennon Shaved Fish album cover as well. Martin, you're really revving up the venom, aren't you? Okay. Martin says another cop out song. How do you sleep at night? John says, "Oh, it's about me." No, John, it's about Paul, and it's disgusting. It's not disgusting. Well, I guess here's the thing. Paul started the bullshit on the record. I'm talking about on record. He started the fight on the Ram album by doing Too Many People. And not only that, you want to talk about disgusting? How about the back of the Ram album cover where there's two insects, beetles, kind of one sticking it to the other? That's pretty disgusting, don't you think? So John responded with a suitable song, and I think it's a brilliant song, despite the fact that it hurts your Paulie. I kind of think that it's what the doctor ordered. Now, I will agree with you. I don't think you understand either. When John says it's about me, you know what he's trying to say? It was a cop out. I'll go along with you. When John changed his mind years later and said, "Well, how do you sleep?" It's about me. He was trying to like smooth it over because he kind of, he kind of like he was trying to regret. He was backpedaling. I'll go along with you on that. Trying to smooth it out. But when he says it's about me, what he means is I'm attacking myself. Like he's angry with himself. He's resenting Paul. He's kind of like what people say, like when you go after somebody, all you bullies out there, all you trolls out there, and there's one guy, the guy, the really sick guy that thinks he's going. I'm saying it a lot here. The guy who thinks he's going, the only one going to heaven. This guy here is kind of weird out there, an older guy that's really kind of pathetically vile. He basically is attacking everybody else because it's himself that he's like upset with. You know what I'm trying to say? You know what I mean. That's what John means when he says it's about me. That he's kind of like using his own frustrations. Yeah, I like the self-titled George Harrison album. Yeah, I don't know if we did a Talk More Talk show on the George Harrison self-titled album. I feel like we did, actually. No, Martin McGrath is not a John guy. I think if anything, he's a Paul guy. Do I think they're ever going to release a Lennon singles box set like they did with Paul? Maybe. Not as many singles, for sure. Right, that's it. See, Jack Gill. Thank you, Jack Gill. It's projecting. It's right. John claimed he was projecting. And I do think in that old gray whistle test from 75, when he says, man, I don't really, do I regret it? Nah, not really. I regret the association, but what do I regret? He said, me and him lived through it. That's what matters. He says, I'm really attacking myself. I guess he is copping out. He is backpedaling. He's trying to disown that he did that at that point in time. But maybe he did regret it a little bit. But he did say it's a great track. He said, I think they missed the song. It's a great track, regardless of what it's about. But yeah, well, John's in, well, I don't know which one you're talking about, Henry Lemoyne, with John Lennon's interview. You say you love John's interviews, but the one from December 6th, that's the Andy Peebles one. Its interview is depressing in hindsight. I don't think the December 6th one is as depressing as the December 8th one, the same day that he died, the RKO interview. But they're depressing because they've got John happy and bubbly and full of life and eager to continue, and life is just beginning for him. That's why it's depressing in hindsight. Well, here's the thing, Edward. You say John said the whole Ram album was about him. It's not John's fault for thinking that. I've often said that. People like Paul McCartney who don't want to speak their mind, they like to hint things. They like to make hints. They like to hide everything subtly, clues and everything. How are you supposed to know what people are really thinking unless you're a mind reader? Why shouldn't John think Dear Boy was about him? Why shouldn't John think that Backseat of My Car when he says we believe we can't be wrong? How is he supposed, how does he know? Why wouldn't he think that Three Legs why wouldn't he think it was about him and the other Beatles? Why wouldn't he think that? When you're somebody that doesn't like to tell it like it is, so when you listen to How Do You Sleep, there's no doubt it's about Paul McCartney. Boom, zing. People who don't speak up and just they're very coy and subtle about it. You can't read the minds. What's John supposed to think? I don't blame him for thinking those were about him. Whatever, Martin, whatever. John dismissed all things must pass. All I know is in 1971, he said, look at George. It's their audio, not something written out. It's his voice. He said, would George have flourished like that if we'd continued? Flourished. And if he dissed all things must pass, fine. Maybe he thought it was too religious for him at the time. Maybe he thought it had a little too much preaching and religion on it for John at the time. I don't know. He's entitled to think that. So what if he dissed it? He's not allowed to diss it or dismiss it, and maybe change his mind later. Did you ever have something you didn't like at first, and then you liked it later, or vice versa, or you had a different frame of mind that year? I mean, that's why I relate to John. I know what it's like to have different frames of mind, different days, different thoughts. I'm not going to buy, I like the Dave Clark 5, Raymond, but I won't buy the singles box, no. I know Dear Boy wasn't about John. It was about Linda's ex-husband. I know that. But I don't blame John for thinking that Dear Boy was about him. What I try and explain it again. What is he supposed to think? If Paul's going to be too afraid to come right out and say, "This is about you, John. This is about you, Linda's husband," whatever it is. If he's not going to come out and say it, people are free to interpret how they want. There's nothing paranoid about that. I don't think. When do you think they release a new Lennon set like Plastic Ono Band? I don't know. They were supposed to put out, Sean had said it was probably going to be sometime in New York City in 2022, and it didn't happen. Christopher Cruz says he'd like to hear the tapes of John's Playboy interview in their entirety. I heard a lot of it, but not all of it. That's really cool. Well, you see, here's the thing, the thing too, when they say, this is what, it just gets me. We're doing Imagine again. I don't know if I can take this. I'm going to try to be calm. Henry says, I wonder what George Harrison would have thought of the song Imagine since he was super religious. The thing is, when John explained in the RKO interview, I'll say this one more time, I've said this many times. The RKO interview, the last day of his life, it was recorded on December 8th, 1980, hours before he died. He talked about Imagine, and when he says no religion, he didn't mean no God. He said, I don't mean no God, not to imagine no God. He said, but I mean like no Jew Christian, no Protestant Lutheran. Like he meant no dividing branches. That's what he means by no religion too. Because all these things that like divide us, war, money, possessions, all these things, if we had no possessions, we wouldn't have so much greed and so much need for things. That doesn't mean that John has to give up his grand piano. It doesn't mean he has to sell his apartment at the Dakota, sublet the apartment, and live in a shack in a cardboard refrigerator box. John has to live in a cardboard box on the street because he's saying no possessions. He's just talking about things that divide us. If we didn't have all these dividing things that cause war, things that cause greed, maybe we'd be better off. Imagine what it would be like, but that doesn't mean you give it up. Like, I think the internet, one of the worst things that happened to us was smartphones and internet, I think, ruined this world a lot in the last 20 years. Now, am I going to give up my podcast? I can't say. Imagine what it would be like, folks. Imagine if we didn't have podcasts. Imagine if there was no internet. I wonder if you can. I wonder if I can. John adds that part too. I wonder if we can. I wonder if you can. I don't want to give it up, but it might be a better place maybe if we didn't have it. What is it, this mentality people have that practice what you preach, John, you're being a hypocrite? No. I think I made a good argument there for that. But I know I missed a lot of things. Yes, do I have the Lost Lennon tapes? Yeah, I have all the volumes of it on vinyl, if that's what you mean. Martin makes an interesting remark. He says, when someone tells Martin McGrath they are Wings fans more than the Beatles, I don't speak to them anymore. Their opinion to me is invalid. Well, I think it's a pretty bizarre opinion to think, I'm a Wings fan, but more than the Beatles. That is bizarre, but I don't know if I take it as far as you do. I don't know. Henry Lemoyne says the hypocrite thing about John and the Imagine song and possessions makes no sense. Even if you are just middle class, you can still make the argument that you have more than someone else, so the argument falls on its face. Right. So, he has more, but the people say, well, they're giving up. Give some stuff up, John. It's just ridiculous. A lot of people, they can't think any deeper. A lot of people are just on the surface people. They listen to the lyrics of Imagine and they take it all like literally. If you say no religion too, that means he doesn't believe in God. That means he doesn't believe in like anything, at all. But he actually meant it, denominations, is what he said. And he said it hours before he was murdered. So that's the last record we have of him talking about Imagine. So, um, Martin, I know what you're talking about. I know exactly who you're talking about and what you're talking about, and I kind of take it with a grain of salt myself. I know what you're saying. Yes. Yeah, Henry Lemoyne says, hold on a minute about that God thing. My favorite band is the Beatles, but I kind of clump the Beatles and their solo careers together, so it's all a big piece of art to me. Stellar Conquest says John didn't believe in God either. Nonsense. There were times where he said that he didn't believe in God, and there were times when he did, mostly later. Later in his life, the last day that he was alive, he mentioned God. Okay? The last day that he was alive, December 8th, 1980. And one of the quotes is, you gotta give thanks to God, or whatever it is, that we all survived. Okay? That's the last day. So, and I remember when he said about Imagine, he said, when he says imagine no religion, he said not imagine no God. He said, although you're entitled to believe that too, if you want. He gave both things. And the song God was 1970. Hey, people, that was 1970 with the song God. Okay? Back then, he didn't believe in the Beatles either. He didn't believe in anything. Didn't believe in Elvis, didn't believe in Dylan, didn't believe in the Beatles, didn't believe in God. Okay? He was very angry and he was searching his soul back then in 1970. That changed at the end of his life. Sorry, that's just the facts. Just giving you the facts. John changed his views and his mind. I've done that many times. Maybe that's why I agree so wholeheartedly with him. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why I relate to him, I should say. I relate to John a lot with that. I mean, what are you supposed to do when you're 17 years old? Just say, I don't know. I don't believe in. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a good example. I don't know. I'm just making an example. Say when you're 17, you say, I don't believe in the death penalty, right? Then when you're 50, you say, you know what? I changed my mind. Now I do think of the death penalty. Are you supposed to sit there and say, well, when I was 17, I said I didn't believe in it, so I have to keep that. I got to keep that thought, that frame of mind the rest of my life because I said that. I owned that when I was 17. Come on, guys. You could change your mind. Why is it such a bad thing for a person to change their mind and their view? Oh, I hear what you're saying, Henry. Okay, I gotcha. David wants to know what the first Beatles album I bought was. Well, I really don't know. You know, I really don't know which one for sure was the first one I bought. I just can't remember that. I remember a lot. I usually remember a lot of those types of things, but in a case like that, I just can't remember. And yes, John Lennon loved rock and roll. We just got a shit stirrer on here. He says, I was just making the point that when he said he hated rock and roll on the song Year Blues from the White Album. That's just one song where he's basically saying, it's just an expression. He's saying he's so depressed that he wants to die that he even hates his rock and roll. He doesn't even like rock and roll. He's so you're writing a song and you're looking for things to say. I'm depressed. I'm suicidal. I'm so suicidal. I even hate YouTube. I'm so suicidal. I even hate my parents. I'm so suicidal. What is it? Oh, okay. Stellar Conquest is going. I know, Joe. Take it easy. I know. Sorry, I called you a shit stirrer. Maybe you're not. You have to understand though, when you do what I do, and you for 10 years, and you encounter all kinds of people, you never know where it's coming from. Yeah, you have to understand that. So I apologize when I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, I apologize. That's it. Yeah, I don't know what my first Beatles album was. I mean, I had which one I actually physically purchased. I mean, I remember purchasing Meet the Beatles. I don't, not in 1964. I'm talking about like 1975 or something. I remember purchasing it on an Apple label. It had, but I can't remember, if that was the first one. I remember going to the store and buying A Hard Day's Night in the 70s. The U.S. version of A Hard Day's Night. Which one was exactly for, Well, when John sang "Here's Another Clue for You All," the walrus was Paul. He was just talking about all the clues people were finding on albums. This is before the Paul is Dead thing. People were like thinking Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds was LSD because it said LSD, Lucy Sky Diamonds. And all the lyrics people were like, even back before the Paul is Dead revelation, whatever, before that news item, John was aware that fans were reading too much into Beatles songs and Beatle lyrics before that. So he just threw out something stupid. He said, here's another clue for you all. The walrus was Paul. He could have said anything. I don't know what rhymes as well as that. He could. I just heard a noise like somebody was knocking. That was weird. He could have said, here's another clue. Ringo was really a priest or anything. He just came up with a lyric. So, all right, folks. We'll go a little longer here. I think, this is longer than I like to, but I might go the 2 hour mark or thereabouts today. I'm at like an hour and 48 minutes I'm up to just about. So, and then I don't know what I'm going to do here after that because I got to sit here for another hour after that. But here we are. Ooh, it is cold in here. Did I say that before? Did I say that before? Yeah, I did. Robert, I don't know if there are any record stores where I am. There's not a lot of anything around here. This is like in the middle of nowhere where I am. It's kind of like, it's weird. It's just in the middle of nowhere. You have to go to the main road and drive a while. Well, luckily there's a deli. There's a deli close by. It's where I get like an egg sandwich in the morning when I come here. There's an egg sandwich and there's an egg sandwich. There's a deli. And you have to drive into town to really get anything. I don't think there's one. The short answer is no. How's that? I'm waiting to hear what Martin says is an unpopular opinion coming, I think. All right, so. Yeah, I know you said that. See, people repeat things sometimes thinking I didn't see it, but I have nothing to say. Like Henry says, despite McCartney mostly dominating the later Beatles, I love how John gets equal time with McCartney on the White Album. And yeah, I know you said that before. I didn't respond because what am I supposed to say? Yeah, I agree. I do. I agree with you. James Farley says, when can we hear Mrs. Mayo sing? Actually, one of my videos from one of the Beatle Fest, I don't know which Beatle Fest, I want to say 2017. If you watch the 2017, I think it is, you're not going to see her, but you can hear her voice. She was doing some singing, I think, in that, I think, you know. Yeah, it's true. The walrus was Woodland Goblin, actually. Yeah, yeah. I think, do I think Eric Clapton joining the Beatles would have worked? No, because the Beatles are those four guys, nobody else. I know sometimes John Lennon was like, oh, we'll get Eric Clapton in there instead of George. Bullshit. John could be a jerk too. That's a stupid thing. Because the Beatles are those four guys, you know. So, I'm debating putting my coat on. Yeah, well, more than being from Liverpool, you got to be one of those four individuals. Those are the Beatles: John, Paul, George, and Ringo. Without any of them, it's not really the Beatles. Now, people say there's a whole other argument that people make. Well, are Free as a Bird and Real Love the Beatles? No. Yes, because John's on it, and because they all said we're going to be the Beatles for this. They all agreed to reunite as the Beatles just for those songs, and to put the record out as the Beatles, not the Threedles, not 3+1. The Beatles, and they made that call. So therefore, it's a Beatles song, both of them, "Free as a Bird" and "Real Love." No, Stuart Sutcliffe would never have been a Beatle. In fact, he quit the Beatles before he died, and he was an artist. He couldn't play the bass. He couldn't really play it. He didn't really belong in the band at all from the beginning. Yeah, I always wondered about that, Ed. When you say, why is it that Paul was always different in Let It Be or Get Back? Paul has a beard, and the other Beatles are clean shaven. Other pictures, Paul is clean shaven, everybody else has a beard. Yeah, I always say that, I like the fact that in Let It Be or Get Back, Paul has a beard. Finally, he does something revolutionary. Paul, clean cut Paul, again, it's not cool. Paul's not cool. Finally, he grows a beard. He looks cool, looks different. Because usually it's the other guys that are doing that stuff. So I like that Paul finally looked different in Get Back. Mm. All right, folks, I'm gonna nip it in the bud now. This is not really the bud. The bud would be earlier. This is not the bud. This is the full blossom. It's been going on for a long time. I enjoyed doing this. I just, didn't know it was gonna go this long today. So thank you all for being here. As I say, I know I'm probably gonna do this again from the same location, the same time, 9:30 a.m. on Sunday morning, December 4th. I'll be back here for sure to do another one of these. And Tuesday night, this coming Tuesday night, I'll be back here again, probably doing my thing where people like Robert S. could come up here with me. Because, I'll be stuck coming here Tuesday night. So, yes, Henry, the idea for this is, yes, I'm going to keep this stream. So thank you all for being here. This is terrific. And I'm going to go put on my coat and warm up a little bit. I got to be here for at least another hour, but I think I'll find other stuff to do. All right, thanks. Thanks, everybody. Oop.